Hi, I'm Chuck Dorsett for Weaver Leather Supply, and this is the Leather Element. If you've got a good question for us or a good idea for a Leather Element, drop it in the comment box below. Also, if you want to know when our videos release, just click your notifications. You'll know exactly when these come out. So we're going to talk about our foil and hot stamp machine and the leathers that work best here. We're not going to go into great detail on the machine. We're just going to see what works and what doesn't. Now, for us crafters, it's a little bit of an expensive machine for us, but it's just like a sewing machine. We have no idea how much we're going to use this for until we get this into our shop. This gives us such a professional touch. All right, so let's start right here, see what happens. I've got 6 beautiful leathers picked out for us. In fact, some of these, my all-time favorite. But we also have one material in here we may not be expecting. That one is just for our woodworking cousins. Now, with this machine, we can foil stamp and we can heat stamp, but it takes 2 different temperatures. So what we'll do, let's foil stamp our 6 leathers, then we'll bump up our temp and we'll heat stamp. Easy part about that right there, both temperatures. We don't have to guess. And on our foil, 3 beautiful colors. Every one of these pops, but I think the copper, that's my all-time favorite. That looks good on any brown. In fact, we're going to start right there. So also too, I'll drop in insets, both of the leather and the SKU number, but also a little bit closer shot of the foil itself. So first up, our Jasper Chrome pull-up. I love this leather. Very professional, very finished. That is beautiful. There we go. We can see it. There's a little bit better shot of that, but that absolutely works and it's beautiful. Okay, next up, let's go with our suedes. We have so many beautiful colors. I can't honestly say which is my favorite. It's got to be the turquoise, lavender, or maybe that beautiful rich purple. But on the suede, I don't think the foil stamp's going to work, but let's see what happens. So with this, how about we go with a nice bright silver foil. Well, it's not great, but we can do this. Let's take our suede brush. This comes from our suede kit. And let's brush that across. What that'll do is remove some of the foil that's stuck outside of the letters. Well, actually, all told, I'm a little surprised. That looks a lot better than I thought it would. All right, let's see what's next. Let's try our Solstice, and you can tell why this is one of my favorite leathers. Any project we use this with is going to be absolutely professional and some gorgeous colors. So with this, let's try our gold. That is beautiful, crisp, and clean. I'm kind of surprised on that one. That looks good. Let's try our Casablanca. This comes in some absolutely beautiful colors, and it looks good with a top coat on it. So with this, let's go back to our copper. Again, crisp and clean. That actually pops. The foil on top of that flat finish, that looks good. Let's go a little bit different direction. This is our Frontier leather. It's a good, supple leather, got some good weight to it. In fact, that color is the black cherry. Again, one of my favorites, but it's got an oil content to it. So I don't know how well it's going to foil stamp, but let's give it a shot, and let's go with the gold. It's not bad, but it's not great. I think the oil is defeating the adhesive on the foil in some of these areas. So that may not be the best way to go. How about some veg tan? Let's see what happens here. I've got 2 pieces of veg tan. So right here, that's a light brown Pro Dye with a leather balm top coat. And then same thing, but I've added the medium brown antique. Let's see how these work. That looks good. There we go. Very crisp and very clean. And the adhesive had no issues. And we have very little foil outside of the stamped areas. And no different there. That looks very good. So happy with the way this has turned out on just about everything. Well, one more. I mentioned a material we're not used to. How about wood? We've got a very clean stamp on that one. Yeah, there we go. Hard to see, but there's a little bit better picture of that. All right, so let's reset here. I'm going to bump up my temperature. Let's see how these heat stamp. We've given our machine time to come up to speed, 250 degrees, and that's actually listed right there. But 2 good points right below that. Results may vary. Test temperature first. I feel like that's a little bit hot, but we're going to try it. Then we may reset, but it's super easy to set the temp on this. Now the head, that is hot. Let's be careful around that. And on our plate, I've got our impression area marked out with tape simply because it can be a little bit hard to see. Well, let's start with our natural veg. So this is our Pro Dye, medium antique, and a leather balm top coat. Well, it looks pretty good, but I do feel like that's a little bit hot. So let's reset that. Let's come down to 240 degrees. Again, easy to set. We've got a button right there. We can move our cursor. So let's come down to 240 and set. Let's give that a couple of minutes. We're down to 240 degrees. Didn't take long at all for that to drop down. So now let's come back to that same piece. Yeah, there we go. Just a little bit less heat. I feel like we've got it. All right, our other piece of veg tan, Pro Dye No Antique, leather balm top coat. And even right there, I feel like when we jump over to that piece, we're a little bit heavy. Well, let's try this because I think even 240 is going to be a little too much on our Solstice. Yeah, that actually is starting to crack a little bit. So on this leather, we may jump down to maybe even 220, but I'm going to do the rest. Let's just see what happens. And last up, our Jasper. Let's see what happens here. Well, actually, not bad. Let's take a look at these in a little bit better light. In all honesty, this is entirely up to us. Do we want a lighter or darker impression? So on our veg tan, that's 250, and it looks pretty good, but right there, 240, I think that looks best. But when we jump over to our second piece, that is clearly too heavy, too hot. But I don't think that's the machine. I think that was me. I simply held the head down a little bit too long. On the Solstice, actually, that's beautiful. But again, I might back down on the temperature just a little bit. The suede, I'm absolutely surprised by the foil. That looks good. But the heat stamp, almost no impression at all. And over on our Jasper, I think that's my favorite. That actually looks perfect. And our Frontier, well, the heat stamp looks pretty good. It's a very subdued look, but I kind of like it. It's a little bit hard to see. But the foil stamp, it's just not sticking. The oil is defeating the adhesive on our foil. And last up, that's our Casablanca. Again, a little bit tough to see, but that's almost what I'm looking for. A little bit more of a subdued look. But again, entirely up to us. And with a little experimenting, we can get exactly what we're looking for. I hope this is good information for those of us that have the machine or maybe looking to buy one. It's just a few leathers, but this will give us an idea of some leathers that work and some that don't. My hope here is that may save us a little time and a little money. Thanks for taking time to watch The Leather Element. Good luck with your projects.